Okay, first are our starfish rolls. So imagine splitting the body up into this nice X kind of position where we have like 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're gonna be essentially rolling over and back over with 1 quadrant while we leave the other 3 quadrants, try to leave them exactly where they are, okay? So it'll look kind of strange at first, but I'll literally be on the floor on my back, and as I roll over, I'm gonna leave my limbs where they are, and then I will roll back over, and you will be able to see. Now there's gonna be 2 different types of rolls that I'm gonna kind of do. I'll start with the right arm first. I'm gonna take a outside in approach, meaning I'm gonna be moving far away through the arm. On the second rep, I'm gonna move from a more proximal, from my core, so to say. So it's gonna be pulling over from the inside out. And that's just 2 kind of variations. You've got the outside in and then the inside out on the same roll. So here's the starfish rolls. Get into my nice, good, long position, relax. I'm gonna go with my right arm first. I'm going outside in approach, meaning I'll take this arm and I'm gonna start to peel my shoulder, head, spine, everything off the floor as I reach it all the way as far as I can. And notice my legs are still in the same position. They didn't cross over or anything. Then, from the outside in, I will take my hand and pull myself back over. Next rep is an inside out variation, meaning I'm gonna really take this hip and start to pull my body over. My hand will follow. Same thing, but now instead of coming back with my hand, I come back through my hip. So that's a variation of our outside or inside out. Now on the legs, notice here, my arms are nice and crossed. They didn't switch positions or anything. So I've got this little cross going with my hands and arms. And I can just roll right back. Take it over. Roll as far as you can comfortably. And I pull back through that hip from an inside out approach. Okay, so again, that's the starfish roll. So the difference between that and the next roll, the soft roll, is on the soft rolls, I'm actually gonna go ahead and roll over and my whole body will kind of roll over. I won't try to leave my limbs where they are. But same sort of thing. Whatever quadrant I'm leading with, I'm trying to keep the other 3 quadrants as inactive as possible. Same thing applies. I've got inside out rolling through the spine, and I also have like outside in, just the leading of the roll, okay? So our soft rolls. Start on our back here, and I'm gonna go for my right arm first. I like to slide it down to the side, look over to my right hand, and I start to follow with my head and spine all the way across. I watch it until I just roll to my stomach. Now, I can slide this right hand down, eyes on my finger, and start to follow it as it pulls my entire body back over. Now, on the lower body, as we roll, really think about barely raising this foot up slightly and just stacking those hips. Once I stack these hips, I can just kick through and roll over. So again, slight leg lift. I look at stacking the hip, left on top of right, and I can just kind of kick through and relax and fall over. This foot, pull me back, stack the hips, relax. So again, we've got our arms, that crosses over, and they pull us back. And we can go from the lower body quadrants to roll over. And let these pull us back as well. Now, like I said, the inside out approach works there as well. So the main thing is to start to breathe and time your breathing and play around with your breathing of just like exhaling through those rolls and finding good long expansion through the body, especially opposite hand through opposite leg, just getting nice and long and relaxing and letting your spine move. So rolling back and forth, there's no way of doing it wrong. You just want to play and really try to articulate very slow and let your spine and your deep core pull you over, okay? Always follow your hands and always follow with your head. It'll help you rotate a lot more, so the head is always doing things. It's either when we're crawling or rolling around, it's always moving and following around, okay? Now, the third thing here is a sequence that I don't even have a name for this one. I love this little sequence. It's a ground sequence, and I've got kind of a little transition from start to finish. So this is a build-up. Now, the main premise of this is just finding my seated position or my lying position on the floor with my knees nice and up into a bridge position here, okay? And now, what I'm gonna do with my legs is I'm just gonna start with just letting my knees drop side to side. This is literally the variation one. We just start to get into the hips, move side to side, let the spine pull the hips side to side, and kind of squeeze onto those glutes, get some good extension into the hips. But again, this is just a little play here. Then I like to kind of open the arms up and open the chest, and start to just kind of reach my arms apart as my knees are going side to side. And I can easily pair this up with breathing. I can inhale to center, exhale over, inhale to center, exhale over, and whatever. So we just kind of play around in this position. Now, the second part of this starts with a very, very important thing, the leg sweep. The leg sweep is super important. If you're not actively thinking about sweeping on the ground, meaning touching the floor and really feeling the ground, you're gonna lose so much connection and so much just ability, okay, period. In this position for the second part, we're gonna roll to my left, and I'm gonna take my right hand and reach it over, and I'm gonna take my right leg, and it's gonna reach out and trace all the way around to my right hand. It traces back into position to where I will now roll to the right side. Left hand reaches to the right, left leg traces the ground, back and forth here. Now from this position, you'll see you can really get this nice like cat camel type thing too. I can really flex here, even my neck, to where I can extend and open my chest to the other side. Roll and flex, extend as I roll and go to the other side. Now, during this variation on the second, we always have from this position, you can pause for a second, and you can always just work on a nice open up, swing it back around, come to the other side, trace, open, trace back. Variation 3 is where we put it all together here, okay? So now my arms and my legs are gonna be active together. Good thing is, it's not too confusing. It'll always be the same arm and the same leg. But now my arm and my leg will be tracing. So it's very important to trace the floor, stay in contact, and also expand, reach, try to get long through your body here. So when I'm in my position here, I'm gonna do the level 3. I will go to the left. That means my right arm and my right leg will be tracing. So go ahead and watch what happens here. Now we're warmed up and we're ready. I go to my left with my knees, my right arm, and my right leg. Trace until they find each other. Then we expand, extend, and open back up, tracing the other side. Where the left traces. And that's the full transition all the way through from just our starting warm-up prep of letting our knees kind of go side to side, taking our hand over as we trace, maybe even opening up into our T, then to a full body articulation from side to side, okay? The leg sweeps, like I've said, are very, very important. I've always played around with a lot of movement on the floor, but the leg sweep is something I learned from Cameron Shane at Budokan University. It's very important to gain that connection with the ground. The ground is the one that's providing you feedback and stability. So really aim to feel the ground with everything you can at all times, and focus on letting your breath start to be the guide and the driver of your rolling or your turning and your crawling, whatever it may be. Now, the last exercise, just for play, this is something I love for the lower back, especially people with lower back problems, hips, bad knees, bad ankles, all the above, okay? So this is one we use here all the time with everybody. We're gonna get quadrupt. We're gonna do both toes tucked behind me and both toes flat. I'm just gonna hit both, thinking of the ankle. We've got dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. We're gonna hit them both. So I start with the toes tucked, and I'm just gonna gently start to rock. I keep a long, nice, neutral spine. My core is engaged, slightly pulling me back into my hips, and I can just kind of work through here. And once I start to get loose and warm and feel good, it's time to start adding some articulation into the spine. That's when we can just start with some cat camels, some rolls. And we can start these in different positions as we're rocking forward, we're rocking backwards, doesn't matter. Now, start to even come side to side with it a little bit and just roll through the hips, wrist, and the ankles. I am focusing on keeping nice activity with my hands, my knees, my feet. Anything that is touching the ground is gripping the floor, giving me stability, which is ability. So we are active from these positions. Now I can flatten my toes and kind of start to do the same thing. Just kind of playing around, work through the front of my shins a little bit here. Reach down into kind of a child's pose where I can start to play and roll. Now these are very good little knee kind of extensions and deep in-range flexibility that's going on too. So we're getting a lot of pumping through the knees, both toes down and toes up. We are actively pulling through our hips, getting our hip flexors nice and engaged and our lower abs nice and engaged, into letting our glutes and hamstrings really work synergistically together. So again, just playing from this position. Toes up, toes down.